Hello and welcome to the Digital Classroom. I am Jamie Benedict here with more tools and techniques for the digital curriculum. One of the big concerns that has come up when we talk about technology is that students are always on their device. And so by putting them in front of computers during the school day is just going to increase the amount of time that they're on their device and decrease the amount of interaction that students are having. It's going to become a distraction. They're not going to be interacting with their peers, and this is going to become a problem. And of course, now that we are either fully remote or in some cases hybrid classes, we see a lot of that where these kids are being told, hey, we want you to have this socialization. The parents want them back in school face-to-face because in a perfect world, that's the better way to be running the schools. But they're worried about that social interaction with students and how are they going to be able to make these connections when all they're seeing is the teacher on one end and then a display screen on the other side of things. So I want to talk today a little bit about how we can take that large community that we have as our class and create a smaller atmosphere where students can collaborate and interact with each other in a productive manner. So I want to do this through what are called breakout rooms. And I'm going to show you the breakout rooms in Microsoft Teams. I know that Zoom has them. I know that WebEx has them. I know that Big Blue Button has them. And I know that probably Google Classroom has them or Google Teams has them. This is an important factor. In fact, this is how you can tell that there were so many complaints about having such disconnection among students, is that all of these platforms have said, hey, this is important. We need to find a way to break these communities down into smaller groups. So let's take a look at this. And I want to talk mostly about why we should do this and then show you how it's done, because there are a lot of great tutorial videos out there that will demonstrate for you the steps. Here's what you do. But the question, I guess, from a teacher perspective is, why are we doing this and what's the benefit for us? How can we use this in our classroom? So I am in my practice team. This is, again, where I go to try out new things and just see what works and what doesn't. And I play around with different things and I try to figure out how I'm going to work this. In Microsoft Teams, their breakout groups are called channels. Here I am in my team, and normally when I run a session, I'm in my general channel. So this is where my students go when I schedule a meeting. It's out of this channel, and when I run my meetings, this is where they're going to show up. And this is a constant recording of everything that goes on in this session, so I can get chats going back and forth. I can have conversation between students when they talk to me and ask me questions during a lesson. This is where all of that shows up. But if I want to break these kids down and maybe get some small group debate going, or I want to break these into different topics and have students then kind of build their thoughts and then come back to the large group, and then they're going to make their argument that way. These are great ways to do this. And I'm going to just create some new channels. So you can already see I've created Alpha channel, Beta channel, and Charlie channel. I'm going to create one more here. And we do that by clicking on our three dots here. And we're going to click on Add Channel. And I'm going to call this one Delta Channel. And I'll tell you why you need to do that as we go through this. And I can give this channel a description. I do have the ability to make this standard or private. And private just means that I'm going to be able to invite students into a group. So if you want to break kids up into a team and you just want to make sure, hey, they need to know exactly where to go, and I don't want kids bouncing back and forth between rooms, because they can, and I'll show you how they'll do that as well. You can lock this room and just put specific kids into that room, and then when you assign them there, they're the only ones that will be able to log in to that group. Otherwise, if it's standard, when you go into a general meeting, you can actually tell the kids, all right, I need you to go to Alpha channel, you're going to Beta, you're going to Charlie, you're going to Delta, and we can divide our groups that way. Most of the learning management systems that I have seen have the ability to group students, and I know Canvas in particular does this, where you have the ability to randomly group students, and then you can also move kids around. So if you don't like the groupings that they create, you can adjust those a little bit. And then if you wanted to do a private room, let Canvas separate them out. You can tell the kids, hey, you go look for your group in Canvas, find your group, and then when they are in the room, you can tell them, okay, everybody who's in this group, you're going to the Alpha channel, and so on. So there's different ways that you can approach this. So I'm going to keep this one as standard for right now, and I'm going to click add. And you can see that the channel gets added right here, and then basically a chat room is added. Anything with the lock on it is a private channel. So you can go in and edit channels. You can manage the channel, and you can add your members here and different things like that. But when students go in, they actually have the ability immediately to start a conversation with each other. And they have the ability to attach files to each other. One of the things that I do like with this, and here's one way that you can use this. If you want to have students practice a presentation, or you want them to run through the notes with each other or review in small groups, I can go in and do manage the channel, and I can change the channel moderation. So in this one, it's currently on. I can add who becomes the moderator. Moderator privileges basically mean that you can share your screen with the other group members. So they can actually put a PowerPoint presentation up. They can share a Word file. They can do all of those things and control the room. A lot of times with a brainstorming session, for example, with brainstorming, I like to tell the students, hey, we throw out every idea. There's no such thing as a bad idea. So I might have one person in charge of the room. I'm going to have them share their Word file, and then all of the other kids in the channel just get to shout out ideas, and you've got one person who is just typing them all out. And they're going to nail everything down and get all that in there. And everybody in the group can see what's on the screen. So we have that possibility. If you want students to present in small groups, you can break this out for them, and they can just present to the 8 or so people in the room, or maybe 10 people in the room. You can try to this in a lot of different ways with students here. There's a project that I do with kids where I actually break them into 4 teams, and they're representing businesses in different aspects. So one might represent the community where the business is located. One's going to represent the stockholders. One represents the employees, and one represents the management. So I can break them into 4 rooms. They can discuss their arguments for this particular business issue, and then everybody comes back into the main room, and the community gets to say their part. The management gets to say their part, the employees say their part, and the stockholders say their part, and they can debate all of this, but they're putting their arguments together in a private room so that the other kids can't hear what's going on there. So you do have a lot of flexibility with this, and you can put that channel moderation wherever you want to set it there, and so on. So I might start my meeting in this room. The one downside to Microsoft Teams channels is that you can only run 4 at a time. So usually what I do is I come in here and I pick my channel where I want to start, and I start my meeting. And so again, I'm going to just put a title on that. Join the meeting. All right, and as the teacher, now I'm in control of this room. I'm the organizer. This is my meeting. So I can jump back and forth between meetings, but I want to do that with a background on. So I'm going to do this, turn on my background, and there you go. You can see me in my room, and I am now part of this particular group. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this real quick. For the students, when you're ready to have them join a room, you're going to send them back to the team, and they should see all the channels. And you'll do that in your setup when you are designing this, you'll actually click a box that says, make sure that all the kids can see this. So here's my first presentation. The kids will click join. They will jump into that meeting. And now let me go ahead and start the beta channel meeting. And again, here's my presentation practice. Again, we're just doing this for small groups so that the students can interact with each other. This is also great for students who get really uncomfortable in large group settings. I have large classes in the area of about 40 plus kids a lot of times, and that can be intimidating for a lot of these students. So they would much prefer to be able to do a presentation in a small group and get feedback from kids that might say, hey, you might want to think about doing this in your presentation. Maybe you should say it this way. And so we can get that practice. So here again, I've got my camera on for that meeting. And again, they can join this channel because I'm now in beta channel. And I'm going to go ahead and get the meeting started for Charlie. Join now. I'm not going to turn my camera on for this one just yet. All right, and I am going to get my fourth channel going. I do know Microsoft Teams has posted on their discussion boards that they are working on adding the capability to do more channels concurrently, which is great for me because I like small group work. I like to work with groups of 3 or 4, maybe even 5 on occasion, but I can't really do that when I only have access to 4 channels. But I also teach 2 classes at a time, so being able to break students out where I can take one whole class and move them over to another room, and then I can bounce back and forth as the teacher, and I can have students working on something over here, and then I can go have a discussion with this group, and then I can bounce back and forth. Now, when students are typing in here, and you can download the participant list or the attendance list from each room if you want to do it that way. You can be a part of the conversation, so you can type in the chat here. And when students type in, this has been my experience, when students type in the chat, as the teacher, no matter what room I'm in, I get an alert that something's been typed in the chat. So I watch for that just to see, do I need to jump over to another room real quick? And I look at who sent it because that message is usually tagged with a name on it. Students can also raise their hand in the room, and it lets me know that somebody's got their hand up. Again, I can turn on my camera. I got my microphone. I can share a screen. So if I want to specifically present something to this group, and maybe they're having a great discussion about this particular topic and say, oh my gosh, I got a resource for you. And I pull up the internet and boom, I can share that screen with them and say, hey, okay, here's what you guys can be doing. They can attach files in here. I can also say, hey, that was a really good idea. You know, I'm happy with that one. There, you get a smiley face for that particular comment, and you did a really good job there. Now, how do we get back and forth between these? And this is why I wanted to, this is why I suggested that you use a alpha, beta, Charlie, delta sort of naming system. The Teams framework, the Teams screen, when you are in this, whatever room you are in as the teacher, you are probably going to see some boxes right over here. I have a different look to my Teams right now, and it just changed over the weekend. So all last week I had been trying this and doing different things, and I got these little windows up over here with a play button, and it listed all of my rooms, but because I didn't name them uniquely, they all just said breakout channel, and then where I put the specifics was at the end. And so all of mine just said breakout channel. And I had to kind of figure out, okay, which room am I in? Where do I need to go? What group am I talking to? And I like having that. If it said alpha, then I would know, okay, that's the first channel, and then there's beta and so on, because it's going to cut off the end of that text. For some reason, mine has updated or it's changed a little bit. I personally like this look a little bit better. So when I want to jump from room to room, I just need to come down here to the window, and I can select which room I want to go to, click resume, And I am now working in this room here, and I can interact with these students. I can be a part of their conversation. And if I want to change rooms, I like where they're going. You know, if I just listen in, and sometimes I do that right off the bat, is I just sit back and listen, and I might just give them a thumbs up and say, okay, you guys are on the right track. I'm not going to interrupt you. Let me go check on this room. And I come over here, I click resume. And now I'm in this room. And so I can move back and forth through all of these channels very quickly, very easily as the teacher. And I get that small group discussion going, and it is fun. Sometimes I pop in, and I don't know if they notice me right away when I've popped in, but I just sit and listen to their conversation, and I'm like, okay, well, these guys got it. They understand what's going on. And so I don't need to jump in and control and dominate what's going on there. They're doing fine on their own. So I can jump over to a different room and resume. And you guys get the idea how that works. Again, with the older layout of Teams, you're going to get these boxes over here on the left-hand side that will tell you what rooms they are, and you'll hit a play button that will move you into that room, and it will put the other rooms on pause for you. So you do have that capability here. One of the things that I like about this particular setup is that it's very easy. Now when I'm done, I can just end this meeting real quick, boom, and I'm out. Close that window. I can end, I'm out, and I'm out. And anything that goes in the chat for each room shows up right here. So, okay, this one we didn't join. Oh, I still have a room going. There we go. So this one, I didn't have anything in the chat. Nope. But beta channel, I can see what the students were chatting about and what went on in there. And we can actually even have them record those meetings when they're in there as well, so that we have that record of what's going on. I do let the kids know up front, I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the rooms. I expect that you are on task. Here's what your role is. Here's what you need to be doing. And so far, that has been pretty effective. The kids have been very good about being in those rooms. They like the idea of being able to actually build their thoughts out and say, okay, here's what we need to be doing. And they're not in all of these mixed conversations. A lot of times we were doing that, face to face in the class, but then the kids are working in like Google Docs or Google Slides or something like that. If you have Office 365, they also have the ability in there to share a file together so everybody can contribute that way. But I think that verbalization for different groups is just really important to getting that interaction going. It's better than just having the kids typing back and forth. And I think there's just so much value that you can get from doing this with your students. So one of the ways that we can really manage what's going on in our classroom is to build the big community into a smaller community. Let's narrow this focus and let's really try to get these kids engaged and connecting with each other. Keep those relationships going and really take advantage of the resources that you have available to you in the classroom. Thank you for joining me for this edition of the Digital Classroom. I will be back with more tools and techniques for the digital curriculum, but as always, sign up for my YouTube channel so that you get all of the updates when I post new videos for tutorials or for my podcast. You can also sign up at my Facebook page at the Digital Classroom. When you sign up there, you can actually join the discussion. Tell me what you want to know. What do you want to talk about? And I will start putting those ideas together so that we can have a conversation going, because the whole idea behind this is for teachers to help teachers to improve the digital curriculum. I'm Jamie Benedict for the Digital Classroom, and until next time, class is dismissed.